Hello, my friends. My name is Harlequin Grimm. I'm a circus artist and author of the Black Carnival. Today we are celebrating because we have just surpassed 900 pre-orders for this debut book. 900. It's actually insane. Thank you all so much. We're closing that gap to 1,000, and in an effort to celebrate and push that gap forward, we're going to be answering some questions as submitted from you, the audience, on Instagram. Honey Pearls asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, how scary would you say the book is? I'd love to read it, but I'm a scaredy cat. I chose this as the first question because so many people have asked this. People have expressed their interest in buying the book and reading it. They say that their fear is actually getting in the way, which is pretty funny to me. And I understand it. I get it. Not everyone's into the horror genre. The thing is with the Black Carnival is it's not like other horror books, like Tender is the Flesh. Super horrific. Every chapter, every paragraph is unsettling, and by the time you finish reading it, you really have to sit with those feelings. For me, it lasted for a few days. But with the Black Carnival, yes, there is morbid imagery, there's horrific imagery, there's things that, perhaps has not been described before in precisely the way that I will have done it in a morbid way. I'm not going to lie about that and try and trick you into buying something you're not going to like. However, the book has tons of whimsy, dark romanticism, it's lyrical, it's poetic, and there are so many scenes and things happening around the individual bursts of horror that I think will kind of temper it and balance it out for you. In fact, I think it's a really good story for somebody looking to dip their toes into the horror genre, or even just stories that have horror aspects to them. I think it's approachable. Yeah, I really do. So don't be afraid, and if you want a signed paperback copy, there are not so many left. So if that's the thing standing in your way and you want a signed copy, now is the time. Next one is is this a hate comment? I don't know. Honeybee Pictures asked, the MC is named Boo? Like the kid in Monsters, Inc.? LMAO, bro, come on. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So there are two main protagonists in the Black Carnival. You have Atherton Graves and you have Boo. What do you want me to say? Boo works at a traveling circus and is far from normal. The author, me, is far from normal. Listen, you may read the narrative and find out why he has this name and the significance behind it, instead of just shaking your finger at me. Moving on. A little bit more of a productive question this time. Pup X Augie asks, did you get many revelations about yourself while writing? How has finishing a novel impacted you? So luckily for you guys, the Black Carnival is not my first book. You're not getting my first try at writing a book. This is actually my 5th full-length novel I've ever written. I've written tons of short stories. I even had a horror podcast going on for a while, it's still up, though I don't really update it any. So I'm well practiced, and by virtue of that, I don't actually get that huge sense of success from finishing a book. It doesn't feel like a titanic accomplishment to me anymore. It'll probably feel real once I see the Black Carnival on bookshelves or printed or in my hands. Revelations that I had while writing it, I was processing a lot of the work that I did in the funeral industry, my relationship to death and things like that, through the main character, and that was really cathartic. But finishing it hasn't really impacted me in many ways. There's so much that goes into polishing a book and really getting it to that final stage beyond just typing that final sentence and hitting the period. So in that sense, I think that relationship to satisfaction and achievement and ambition is such like an ongoing thing for me, especially with everything else going on with my life, with Grimm Theater, with performing, and the greater ambitions that I have tied to the release of this book. You know, it's a complicated thing. I'm not just an author, and I'm not just a performer, and I'm not just a business owner. I'm all three of those things. So my relationship to success and the completion of something is very tormented, let's say. Mattis Hatter asks, what music did you listen to while writing? And I really like this question because I had a very specific soundtrack. I was listening to Colin Stetson's music. Colin Stetson did the soundtrack for Hereditary, and Colin also has this album called Never Were the Way She Was, which I believe was for a lesser known horror film. I don't even remember the name, but I'm going to throw it up here for you guys once I research it. And that album is the definition of hauntingly beautiful. I absolutely love the music in that album. So for all of the really horrific scenes in the Black Carnival, I was putting on that music. For everything else, I was listening to a lot of Agnes Obel, specifically the Myopia album. And I'm going to have this playlist for you folks for when you read the book so you can listen to the soundtrack as I imagined it. Floating Forests asked, what are you most excited for with your book? It's a great question. Well, it'll be the first time I ever see a book of mine in print, and I imagine I might just start crying or laughing. I have no idea what kind of reaction I'm going to have. This is something that I've wanted since I was a teenager, so a lot of, pain, sweat, and tears has gone into this process of getting here. So I'm really excited to see the catharsis of what it's like to actually just feel a published work of mine in my hands. Beyond that, I really have some pretty grand ambitions with Grimm Theater and the Black Carnival and melding the narrative of this story with potentially live performances, live productions, theater shows, and so on. And if we ever get to that point, I'd be very excited for that. Blitzkrieg Krieger asks, when did you begin writing this? The idea was sort of being fleshed out in 2019, and then when I was working in the funeral industry in 2020, that was when the pages were just flying out, and I had the first and second draft done within, a handful of months. Certain Skills asks, what type of music can be heard while walking around the Black Carnival? I don't want to give away, anything that's directly going to be in the book, but let's just say that I really love Balkan and Romani music for circus performances. I love hearing that when I'm watching live performances, and I love performing or even just creating to it if I'm listening to it in my headphones and training, juggling, and doing flips or whatever. I find it so inspiring, and so the music in the Black Carnival is loosely based off of that. It's Me Though asks, what chapter or portion are you most excited for people to read? Honestly, everything in the book is significant. There's a lot of subtle foreshadowing. There's not a single scene that I'm really excited for people to read necessarily. I am eager to hear about people's response to the work as a whole, but everything really ties in together, so there's not one moment necessarily that I'm looking for a reaction from, though I'm sure a few of them will crop out for you folks. And then someone who's definitely not me, because there's no sponsors in this video, asked, how many signed paperbacks are left? Now listen, there are fewer than 200 signed paperbacks left, and I will leave the link where you can get one in the description. Some people refrain from buying them because they just want the signed one, and they check in with me through DMs. Folks, please don't do this. I will let everyone know through a mailing list, through Instagram, through all my platforms when the first 1,000 signed paperbacks are spoken for. So if you haven't seen a post like that, go ahead and trust that yours is still there. Josh Invia asked, once Black Carnival is out, do you think you revisit some of your earlier novels? And honestly, hell no. Why would I polish a turd into a diamond when I could start with coal or silver or, I don't know, the metaphor is getting away from me, honestly. I'd rather just start with a blank slate or work on a sequel for the Black Carnival, which I'm doing that right now. Certain Skills, again, asked, as a published author, are you ready for critiques of the book after people have read it, good or bad? I'm definitely ready for critiques of the book. The editing process involved everything being torn apart, and when I gave the first draft to beta readers, it got torn apart, then I redrafted the book, so I don't have a problem getting critiques from people. I think the thing that I may struggle with is just blatantly hateful reviews or readers who are intentionally taking the text in bad faith or trying to find all the little flaws to really dig in and needle at something. I struggle with people like that, to be honest. When it comes to other stuff online, I don't really struggle with it, like with videos and people tearing apart my acts or what I do with my life even. I've been creating content for 5 years, and so I've come across some pretty nasty stuff. I've gotten death threats, I've gotten stalkers and all that, and so I'm sort of used to it. But I think with the book it'll be a little bit different because it's my earnest attempt to really synthesize a portion of my soul and bring it to people and put it out there into the world. And I know a lot of you will say, oh, it's just the haters, don't let them get to you. Why would you spend time thinking about that? People are oddly critical of when it's apparent that a negative thing got to me. And the thing that I have to say to you people, which is, while you are correct and I appreciate the sentiment, until you're in that position, it's it's not easy to imagine what it feels like to have anonymous critics and haters throwing slurs at you and hateful things. For the 99% of the time, I just don't even think about it and go on about my day, but every once in a while it gets under your skin, and just the reality of it. I think that there will be a learning process, specifically with reviews for the book. If there are any that are deeply negative, there will be a learning process with coping with that and seeing it, because it's a little bit less ephemeral than a comment section on a random video that I post on a platform. You know what I mean? So that's my honest response, but I'm really excited in a positive way, and so eager to see people who I know, a really good experience with the book and what they say and think about it, how it impacted them, and what were their favorite parts and stuff like that. I'm so excited for that. And there are yet more questions. When did you start your circus journey and what inspired it? Which books/film media inspire you for the Black Carnival? What was the defining thing/person that tuned you into circus performance and this aesthetic? So these questions and more I will be answering on my Patreon. If you want to support me, the lowest tier is $5 a month. Otherwise, the Black Carnival comes out in October of 2025. You can get your signed paperback still for a limited time, or ebook, and there will be yet more options for retailers like Barnes & Noble and Waterstones becoming available in the summer. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.